Oh, goodness.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Had some problems.
Crazy topic.
With the hurricane and stuff. We got the hurricane here in Florida, of course, and wicked storm surge and all of that. And then it made its way up through Georgia and Carolina, and North Carolina area. So we thought, well, what happens if you need, you're retiring or you're living life and disaster strikes? Like, how do you handle that?
And it's far more common than you would think, because people are like, well, we're not in Florida. We've obviously seen other areas, totally devastated at this point. And then also though, like, we've got the clients in other areas of the country, and it's like, well, we don't have the hurricanes, we have the tornadoes. Yep. And then you've got, primarily the West Coast, the potential for earthquakes. There's always the potential for something, wildfires, all these different things that could happen. And so when you're sitting there saying it's not going to happen to you, the community I live in, we didn't think it was going to be what it was. The elder lady that lives across the street from me literally said, I've been here since '93, and the guy who built my house, their whole family's always been around. This has never flooded. Our street was the street that everybody parked their car on. Oh. And we had 4 feet of water going down our road.
Ooh,
yep.
Nasty.
We were ultra fortunate on 4 houses. There were 4 houses. We were one of 4. My build and the house we're renting next to where we're building, but all of across the street, garage is 2 feet. But that was minimal compared to everybody on Oceanside.
Yeah, it's a bit of a disaster there. I'm thankful for that, but let's keep it
light.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, it's just like, well, it's just tough.
I thought you were going to say she died. I was like, oh
no, she didn't die.
Oh,
no, I was just helping her out like yesterday and just kind of cleaning out her garage.
Okay.
That's what we do around here.
Well, as we go through it too, we'll be giving you specific things that you can do that are what the IRS will do for you in these disaster areas, and what certain laws allow you to do with your retirement accounts and your 401ks and things like that. But speaking of floods, you had, I don't have a joke. He looks at me like I'm going to say some joke.
Yeah, I didn't know.
How do you handle the flood insurance side of things, especially if you're watching here from Florida? Because that was our problem. The wind and stuff was great in normal hurricane.
Well, North Florida got the wind
that
went on, but yeah.
We got the water
the
that
Gulf
just
Coast
came up, man.
Almost Fort Myers, Inglewood area. I know my dad had friends that flooded down there.
Yep.
All the way north. Just the whole Gulf Coast flooded.
How do you handle that?
Yeah, and so it's interesting because I've been walking through steps with people, and though I think the one thing I found more than anything is understanding your policies and really making sure that you're prepared prior to disaster. And I'm not an insurance person. I worked in that field. I think I've been pretty vocal on the channel about understanding that I'm not a big fan of insurance. Though you do need to make sure you know what is covered and what's not covered. Because if you're not a big fan of insurance and you don't have any insurance, and you say, you know what, I'm not going to carry flood, and your home floods, there's a good possibility that you're completely out, or really you are, unless your other policy just has some random clause in there. What people are starting to realize, and what you have to realize is that you have your general insurance, your property insurance that you have on your home, and then you have your flood insurance. And what also people are finding, because I'm going through this with the house that we're building, we have to build elevated because we're in a flood zone. Building in a flood zone, I know you're probably like watching, and I'm sure we're gonna get some comments like, "What an idiot!" He's like, "We started this before this happened."
Yeah, the whole state's a flood zone.
I remember my street hasn't flooded in supposedly over 100 years.
Got it out of the way.
And so the idea here, though, is that making sure that you've got your home coverage, but then also if you need flood, what flood covers. Because what people are starting to learn is the people on my street, they had flood insurance, and it starts at whatever their living area is. And so if your home is elevated, let's just say that you're 10 feet in the air with your home, your garage is not covered under flood, because the flood insurance is going to say, hey, you know what, we're only going to pay you $1,000, or you're only going to have to pay $1,000. Versus another guy on the corner that I know that completely flooded out, his insurance was $10,000. Why was it $10,000? Because he's a single-story house on the ground. Everything floods. Insurance is going to have to pay quite a bit out. The other people on living area is 10 feet in the air, but their garage is not covered. They're only paying $1,000 a year. And so it's a lot of a difference there, and understanding that and understanding your policies, and
it's like a boring thing to do. But you do it like after the fact. Oh my God, a hurricane
Everybody
hit.
does it after.
You look at it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping you're not watching this being impacted and having the concerns here and trying to figure out what you're needing to do. But I really hope that we can all learn, as well as myself, because with this, I'm learning so much with it to understand and grasp this and really just walking through it with neighbors. Again, I'm not an insurance policy writer. I'm not, but at the same time, I'm helping them to help kind of understand what they've got and getting them with the right people.
Fun fact that your auto insurance. So I was reading through the policy way too late, but I was sitting there at home with nothing else to do but eat hurricane snacks and stuff.
Yeah, I was wondering where you put your car.
And I was like, hey, would I be covered if it got flooded out? So I was reading through this never-ending thing. And so come to find out that if you're in a mandatory evacuation zone and you do not leave, your car doesn't get covered if it gets flooded or something like that, right? So then I was like, well, wait a minute. We got my daughter. I've got two cars. I've got the old truck on the policy. So I have a number of different cars on there. And I was like, well, if I leave in one car, you got to cover the other one. So I read through it. Well, it's your primary car. So I was like, oh, cool. My cheap car is the primary. So I was like, deal.
There you go.
But we still had to move everything. I drove it up to the front. Everybody was.
I'm really curious as to how this works because the guy across the street from me had, over 2 foot of water in his garage and his cars were in there and it was too late. Like he was like, by the time realized the water, like we couldn't get it. Everybody was actually parking across the street. Like my neighbors moved their cars to our house. And then the people beside across from them moved it in their driveway and everybody was searching for higher ground. This guy didn't. He said that he called the insurance company and said, we're probably just going to total everything, just get them towed out. But I'm wondering if they cover what they're totaling then.
Yeah,
it's
you got me on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. And again, but this is something that, mentioning the auto insurance too, look at it, talk with the person that wrote this policy, really start to dive into this, especially if there's any potential opportunity. Really, just no matter what, I think you do it because you know what, people in certain areas didn't think, hey, we'll ever flood. And so just do it. Find out for worst case scenario, be the annoying person that asks a lot of questions and that's okay.
Yeah, don't mind the questions, but let's, so now, the storm is gone or whatever. Let's say that you're finding out insurance doesn't cover certain things or maybe you've already blown through your emergency fund because, well, that's an emergency, right?
Yeah.
People here are just taking all their furniture and it's just sitting on the streets. Well, okay, we need new furniture. You need stuff over time. And maybe you need dollars while you're waiting for an insurance payout, or maybe the adjuster, right? They're busy too. So the Secure Act 2.0 that we all know from COVID and started from COVID and all that, they have rules in there. They made some adjustments here. So the first thing is if it's a federally declared disaster, which this was for Florida and for North Carolina, FEMA decides that, by the way. If it's a federally declared disaster, then what they said now is, hey, you can take out currently $22,000 from your IRA and or Roth or whatever, and not have to pay the 10% penalty. So that number will go up over the years. It's not just a one-time thing. So let's say next year there's a hurricane, it gets indexed to inflation. But if you need to take out money, you can do that. Now, you would say, well, I still got to pay tax on that. And that would be true if it's from an IRA. But remember, you're potentially getting money back from an insurance payout or something, if that's the case. Well, the IRS says, we're going to give you 3 years to pay it back. So you're allowed to put the $22,000 plus your contribution back into the IRA each year if you want to. So if it comes down to that, you have that option. You can also go to your 401k. Remember during COVID where they said, normally you can borrow 50% of your account balance or $50,000 from a 401k loan setup. Well, if it's a federally declared disaster, you can now go up to $100,000 for a loan there. And that's not going to be probably something that you see that's an automated thing because that's kind of a new law. But if you have to call or set that up or whatever, that is something that you can do. So a couple little geeky things for you, just so you know.
Yeah, and really too, I think the final thing before I might have something for you today. I might have something. I don't know. We'll see. The final thing to talk through is liquidity, cash on hand. We always preach the emergency savings account, and you're like, well, I've got the secure jobs. Just making sure you have something as a worst case scenario, 401k. You could take the loan on the 401k if you got 50% or more, up to $100,000 is the general rule, but 50% of that. But then, in your scenario, like you're saying, possibly there's extra that you can get. Making sure you have some sort of liquidity, because I saw this actually, Fort Myers, when they flooded the storm, 2 years ago. My family, their home was destroyed, not destroyed, but it had well over $100,000 in damage. And with that, what they ended up having to figure out was, how are we going to pay for this for the short term? Because insurance is a fight. There's not hardly any insurance company that you're just going to be like, okay, great, I'm going to take the $20,000 they just offered me when I just had the adjuster, an outside adjuster, write it up for a lot more than that. Now, I know there's some games there with that too, because you get the adjusters, different people are doing different things there. Not speaking ill on anybody. I think that, you need a lot of different, accountability here. And so just making sure that for your sake, you have the cash on hand so that if you can start the process of getting your home remediated, getting new furniture, whatever needs to be done there, taken care of. So I think that's a big one.
Hey, shout out to, for me, Tip Tap Insurance.
Yeah?
Because
Tip Tap?
when I had
Never heard of that.
Oh, they're big here.
Okay.
But when I had that tornado hit my house and it ripped off the screen, the roof, the tile roof and all that, we got, quotes and all that stuff, sent it to them, and they're like, cool, we'll send you a check. And they did.
The full check?
Full check. It was actually more than what the quote was for, because we took the way they make you go about getting the quotes. And I was like, okay. All right.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing usually is they send you like an advance. Hey, here's, 30 grand. We think that it's going to take 50 grand to fix your house. We're going to go ahead and give you 30. You take an advance, and then basically, like, a lot of people were even scared to deposit the advance because they're like, well, I don't want to take the advance and agree. So again, you really want to understand your stipulations there. If you take the advance and, does that mean that you're having to go with whatever their adjustment is? We're not insurance experts. We're just trying to talk
both ways, though, actually. So think of it, I don't know if this matters, but if you have a mortgage on your house or a lien holder that's a bank, the money doesn't go to you. The money goes to the bank, and then the bank gives you the advance and says, hey, show us when you've done the work, and we'll give you the rest. Show us when you've done the work. But that system of how they calculate that dollar amount, I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a mortgage, then the check gets written directly to you.
Yeah, and so it's kind of a flood thing here. It's kind of, I don't know, hope it's not too soon.
You're going with a flood joke? I mean, yeah, I'm surprised. But
why was Noah the greatest businessman that ever lived?
Oh, no, I don't know.
He kept all his stock afloat while the entire world was in liquidation.
Okay, well, that relates on numerous levels there. Huh?
Yeah, not too crazy. I'm not trying to, it's not a jab at a flood.
It's not really a joke, though.
That is a joke. It's Noah's. It's a dad joke. That was a joke. Yeah, it's Noah in the Ark.
It almost sounded motivational in a way. I don't know. It's not a joke, but I went to, oh my God, what restaurant was it? Okay, it doesn't matter. So I went to a restaurant and
No.
You got it, right?
No.
You got it?
Oh, I got it.
Oh, that's a fair joke. Is that not, what's wrong with that joke? It's not even my joke. Like, I don't even make these ones up.
Yeah. I didn't make this up. Got this from client.
I don't think that was very good and well written, but I don't think that's a joke.
Got it.
I saw it like, oh man, it was a good business. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Noah kept his stock
made it
afloat.
Happen. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways,
wow.
Are we done?
Do we like down? Are we down today?
Yeah, I feel like
it's kind of like, I don't know. We're just trying to get back in the flow of things. A lot of crazy stuff happening. So yeah. But we'll be back again next week with an upbeat show. I will come up with something like crazy good. I'm just going to call it. We just got to figure it out. Let us know what you want us to do the show on. I want to hear what's crazy good that you want us to talk about.
No, you don't ask. Okay. Let him have it. You heard him.
Let's go.
Adios.
Adios.